Today we're shooting the podcast again. This is the second part of answering the questions that you guys had sent in previously on Instagram. Now those questions, some of them were bold, some of them were tough, but I like it. I like it when you guys are expressive and you ask anything and you just think outside the box. And just basically, that's who you are. That's who most of my fans are. You guys are bold. You're unapologetically loud. And the best meal to have before I have these loud conversations that are bold and unapologetically loud is definitely the KFC Crunch Master. And I have mine over here. Just grab it. It is woof. I love that crunch vibe once you just take a bite into all this. I really love this meal, and you can get yourself this meal at 590. That's just for the Crunch Master alone. But if you want to get it as a full meal, you pay 790. Now, when you pay 790, you get the Crunch Master, which is the meal, plus soda, plus fries. Now, if you're bold and you're that guy who's just smart and unapologetically loud, you think outside the box, this is definitely the meal for you. And let's enjoy it before we start this episode. Woof, woof. Just see.
Ben, Cyco, Ben.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is yet another episode of the Cyco podcast, and this is yours truly, Ben Cyco. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for being a supporter of this channel. I am so grateful. Let's get straight to it. Have you ever thought being on radio? Yes, I've tried radio. Imagine I just failed all the interviews. Like, it's so weird, man. I used to work on radio, but not in the presenter department. I was like behind the scenes. I really tried to be on air, but I was turned down. So if I get a better opportunity, that opportunity has to make sense, though. It has to make sense financially. They have to allow me the freedom of doing this as well. So if the opportunity comes up, I'll be grateful to God. How do you know? Do you self-sabotage? Woof! Yes, I do self-sabotage a lot of times. In fact, you'll realize that one of the reasons why most people self-sabotage is because we're not ready to face the reality of how great we are. You know, like you still want to live in that shadow of being huku chini, because you know, if you make that one move, your life might just change and you're just not ready to face all that glamour and all that success. So I self-sabotage a lot of times. In fact, kitambo, and I remember I used to self-sabotage, but not even doing a new podcast episode, because I'm like, pana, hii episode, we unasikia venye hii episode ina sound, you know, like those voices in your head, we unasikia venye hii episode ina sound, Ben, this will just show how dumb you are. You're degrading, your mind is going backward. So I self-sabotage, but one of the things that I've come to learn is that self-belief, and stop overthinking it, just do it. You'll think about it later. Where is it? How do hi Ben? I would love to know how you come up with topics. So how I come up with how I come up with podcast episodes is the thing that I'm talking about has to make sense in my life. I don't like talking about things that I'm not practicing myself. I don't like addressing things that I'm also not doing. I like sharing things that I've failed in. A lot of us don't like being vulnerable enough to get to a point where you can just share with the world, hey, this is a thing that I did, and here I am looking like a clown because it went south. I think people really relate with failure. You'd be shocked, and failure is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that how you rise from it and what you learn from it, but also the way we've come from school. You know, like if you fail, you are not. First of all, nilikuwa shule fulani. Hey man, now coming to think about it, that was so toxic. Like we used to be arranged on our position. So number 1, 2, 3 wanakaa hapo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like unapata hii first row ni ya machopi, wasokuwa wamenyamaza, wasofika mapema. And then huko nyuma ndio unapata kuna mabuckets, huko ndio watu wameacha shati hapo juu. And it's because number last anakaanga huko nyuma. So like constantly kuna waseni nilikuwa najua from form 1 walikuwa nakaanga hiyo row. Makelele mingi ikipigwa ni from huko. And I think that's toxic. I don't think that's dope. I don't think that's dope at all. So it's just how we've been taught to think about failure. But failure is not necessarily a bad thing. Where we at? Steve, just let me know if I'm exceeding time. We're good. How many minutes are we in? 26. So We have like 40 more minutes to go. 10 Hoye. 10 is right there. She's so hungry, but she has to wait for me to finish. Um. Oh, where do I know? How do you know it's God's will for you to be together? Woo! That's a dope one. How do you know it's God's will for you to be with somebody? I think when it comes to these matters of relationship and matters of the heart, it really boils down to your preference, your individual preference as a person, because those preferences have been put there by God. So it's what you like yourself. If you like light skin, if you like dark skin, if you like tall, if you like dark, if you like short, if you like, I don't know, if you like people who are talkative, who never shut up, or people, if you like people who are quiet, that's really a personal preference. You, of course, you need to have values that you stand by, that I need a person who's like this, a person who believes like this, person who sees life like this. Those are some of the standard things that you can put for yourself. But God comes to bless and rubber stamp what you've chosen. And if you two people decide to make that relationship work, then God is gonna make it grow, and that is the person for you. I'm trying to circumvent. Wewe ukikuwa na podcast lazima ukuwe na such names. Circumvent, don't say going round. I'm trying to circumvent this whole idea and notion that there is a specific person for somebody, so you're always praying for this person, and if you never find them, you keep turning down those dudes. Guys are so heartbroken. You keep turning down those chicks, and I feel like that's reaching. Because let me ask you, for example, how do you know it's God's will for you to wear the shirt that you're wearing today, or the t-shirt, or the shoes that you're? It's based on what you like, and you pick it, and God blesses it. And if you two people, if let's say you pick a partner, or a partner picks you, I'm just talking like they are cotton, just pick them, or if you decide to settle on somebody, and they meet your values and your criteria, it's for you now to pray for that, and God will bless it, because where two or more are gathered, or if two people decide to embark on a journey, God blesses that journey. It's purely your decision, guided by God, of course. But the whole idea that maybe you're gonna get this vision, it's like somebody was saying this story that they were at a prayer center, and then this guy approaches this lady, and they're like, hi, I don't know I don't know at a prayer center what lines guys use, or maybe shalom sister, the Lord is telling me that you're the one meant for me, and then the lady goes like, oh, what did the Lord tell you about my husband? Of course that was a scam. So the choice is yours. God will bless whatever you decide, but they have to meet your values and the criteria that you believe in, and the values that you stand for. Another question as I wind up is, what are the rates for the Cyco Hub that you? Congratulations, Ben, for your new venture, the Cyco Hub. Kindly tell us some of the rates, because some of us would want to start podcasting. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have a new company. I'm not alone. I have a partner, and it's called the Cyco Hub. The Cyco Hub is a podcast production company where we produce podcasts on your behalf. Like, if you just have a podcast idea and you don't know how to go about the whole production thing, the whole packaging thing, we will do that for you. All you have to do is click this link up here, and it will take you to cycohub.africa, and you'll see all our rates over there. That's over and done with. How do you know your purpose in life? And if yes, how do you know that you have achieved it? Wow. How do you know your purpose in life? I think purpose is not so far away from your passion. There's some people who have this great passion of taking care of the environment. That's a purpose that they have. There's some people who have this great passion of helping people learn how to cook. That's for them. Purpose is never far away from what you really like. But also, if you want to know more about it, you just have to pray to God that He may reveal that to you, because purpose is different for every single person. And if all of us fulfilled our purposes, this world will be an amazing, amazing place. How you know you fulfilled it is the satisfaction and the joy that it gives you. So sometimes, and most times, it's not even the money that comes with it. It's the satisfaction. There's some people whose purpose is to make other people feel happy. So maybe they are a DJ. So they just enjoy playing music and just seeing people just dancing, and if they don't, they feel so uneasy. There's some people who it's putting campaigns in order and ensuring that this campaign runs smoothly. That's they I don't think necessarily campaign, but the communication. They know how to communicate to people, and that's just their gift. So That's how I see you get to identify your purpose. And how you know you fulfill it is the satisfaction that it gives you. Not necessarily the money, but the money will always follow purpose. Money is attracted, not chased. It's attracted. So if you fulfill it, purpose attracts a lot of money and investors, and people love that. Whoa, Steve, how many minutes are we in? 31. Do we do a last question or do we continue? Yeah, Steve is saying we continue. What are you saying, Wanjiru? Hi Ben, when are you dropping a Kikuyu song and a Kikuyu episode? Wow. By the way, facts. I actually want to do a Kikuyu song, but I feel like the dynamics of writing a Kikuyu song will need somebody who has actually written Kikuyu songs. So if you know anyone who can write good Kikuyu songs, please hit me up. We need to create a dope project together. And a Kikuyu episode. Wow, how would that look like, man? I would really love that. You know, like murega do a guy do a YouTube ona kamwira tuthiete na mbere hanini. Make sure mo subscribe, whatever. I'd love to do a Kikuyu episode. But what about the non-Kikuyus, man? Seem to feel left out sana. Anyway, let's think about it. But I'd really love to do a Kikuyu episode and a Kikuyu song. Yeah. Moving on. Hi Ben, do you think democracy as a system of government has been successful in Africa? Wow, that's a dope question. I think democracy as a system of government is a good system of government. The problem is a lot of external interferences. And now that we are talking about this, I'd want to challenge you guys to go read about Thomas Sankara. You can just search a short video on YouTube that will give you a summary of who Thomas Sankara was. And you can see how the Western interferences in our democratic systems, they just destabilize the whole thing. That's one. Number two, corruption also really interferes with democracy. Now you find that the electoral process is not necessarily transparent, it's not clear, it's underfunded, or it's not well constituted. So those are some of the challenges that I feel affect democracy in Africa. It's a good thing. However, there's a lot of interference with our democratic process. Even the other day, one of the top government officials was on a show with Jeff Koinange, and he was saying that for you to be president in this country, you must be backed by deep state. They actually say that on TV. You can search for that video. You must be backed by deep state and the international community. So that goes to tell you that democracy is not necessarily a fair thing, or it's not necessarily correct, or haiachwi ikue venye inafaa kukua. Another thing also about democracy is that you see that sometimes also the masses can elect clowns. I mean, we've seen some of the governors that we've elected. You see some of the rogue MPs that people elect. Democracy sometimes is just confusing, and I don't think it's necessarily. I think it can be the right way if it's made transparent, because you'll have good, able leaders to step in the gap, and they will be able to win those opportunities. Thomas Sankara, please go watch a video about Thomas Sankara. Another one. When are you releasing your album? I've already answered that. When are you releasing your clothing line? Wow. I've not yet thought about that. I don't know. Should I do a clothing line or should I do something else? Let me know. What do you think? What do you think? Leave it on the comment section. You are stupidly funny. Make your podcast longer. Wow, that's a compliment, I assume, and I love it. Okay, this is the last question. Then we can call it an episode. Episodes. You are stupidly. Ooh, I like this. You are stupidly funny. Make your podcast. Yes, ndio inaenda pia. So nianze. You are stupidly funny. Make your podcast longer. How do you read the Bible? You know, I didn't think this question was going to end up with the word Bible anywhere, but I love it, and thank you so much for the compliment. How I read the Bible is very important. I always try and find the context of whatever I'm reading, especially if it's in the Old Testament or even in the New Testament. I find context of what the conversation that was happening. The one mistake that I see people do is that they read a certain verse, then they run with that verse alone. They did not look at the context. What verse was coming before? What was the chapter talking about? Because if you do that, you miss the whole point of the whole chapter. Understand the times, me went daddy deeper kiasi sometimes just to understand what was happening in the world at that time, for you to understand why specifically that verse was written. Like, for example, you see that story for tattoos. People pick that one verse and they choose to crucify people who have tattoos. They choose to make it such a big taboo thing, but it's because you've just picked up that one verse. You've left out all the other verses that were there. You've left out that Leviticus was specifically written to the Israelites as the Israelites were getting into the promised land, and there was a reason why they were being given these rules and the times at that time. Because do you know, even God told them that, by the way, if you're gonna make a temple for me, mstumie mawe imechongwa. So I don't know what if today you're making a church, does that mean amfai kufanya zile mawe zichongwe hivi zikwe box so that they fit? You can't say that. The reason why that was then at that time is because watu walikuwa wanajenga sanamu. People would make idols and they would carve them. So God did not want the Israelites to have the same behaviors as those people. So I try and look at the context of whatever verse I'm reading, and I also understand that everything that has been written in the Bible is very important. Sometimes for you to apply it practically, but sometimes it's for you to see your life in the life of this person. So you can look at like the story of David, and you can see how broken he was, and you can also see yourself in there. But in the whole process of you being broken, God still, says that this is my beloved son. So that's how I try and read the Bible, and I also try and make it very, very practical, because it's supposed to change my life. So that's how I read the Bible. Guys, I don't know how this episode has been for you. Let me know in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe if you've not subscribed. If you're looking to start a podcast, or if you're looking to start a podcast, just make sure you visit the cycohub.africa. I'm gonna leave a link on the description box below, and hit us up. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. Watch out for more episodes. I'm creating something amazing. I'm gonna start a new podcast episode. Not a podcast episode, but there's something beautiful that I'm creating in the podcast scene that's just gonna be amazing, and it's gonna blow your mind, and you're gonna love it. Thank you so much for being part of the Cyco Podcast. God bless you. Have a blessed week. Make sure you subscribe, and adios.